So, I wanted to start a series where I talk about League of Legends champion designs, specifically their lack of consistency when they make a champion, their lack of consistency when they make a champion skin, excuse me. Usually, where they fall apart is skin tone, facial structure, and a champion's style. It's pretty sad to see because they have a lot of good designs in the game. It's just upsetting when they remove the essence of the champion for the sake of putting them in a skin. Today I want to talk about my favorite champion, Akali, the rogue assassin. If we hit 1 like, I will make more of these. If we smash 1 like, I will do it. But yeah, let's just talk about Akali's design, starting with her base splash. Her design clearly uses a ton of sharp angles and stuff like that. Her hair's all spiky, her weapons are spiky, her eyes are spiky. Everything, she just got sharp angles, showing she's probably not the nicest person. I mean, just looking at her, she's half naked with a dragon tattoo, there's blood on the walls, there's knives in the wall, she's holding a dead body, she's surrounded by smoke. She looks like she wants to fucking kill you. And it's pretty awesome. I like it. Good for her. Everything about her just screams danger. And she's also shirtless and, showing off her muscles. Very cool. Good for her. She's a very well constructed character. Everything about her is just well done, from her design to her voice acting, even to her gameplay. Her voice acting, though, is probably one of my favorite things about her. Her voice actor kills it and does an incredible job. Her Beos really makes her feel like a cocky character who could 100% kill you in seconds. She's clearly very capable, and she's not afraid to say it and shit talk her enemies. They have a very solid character going here, and it's very well loved by the community. I don't know many people who are hating on her design or anything like that. But unfortunately, through Riot skins, her character's kind of been butchered, from her facial structure getting completely changed to the point where you can't even tell it's her, to her skin color getting completely, like, derived of melanin. She becomes pale as, like, a literal ghost, and I will show that off so you know I'm not exaggerating. And her clothing style is kind of all over the place when they do skins. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just, I think there should be some resemblance to the original character when you're making clothing for them. But sometimes it doesn't make sense for her to be wearing those things. Just for her as a person, even if it's in a different universe, it just doesn't make sense. With that being said, let me break it down specifically what I mean. I've already outlined all of Akali's basic features on your base skin. And this picture, of course, gives a pretty good idea of exactly what I'm talking about. Things start to fall apart with Akali more in the later stages, like the more recent skins that have been released for her. All of her release skins, specifically, let's see, Stinger, All-Star, Infernal, Silverfang, Headhunter, True Damage, and DRX. Those are not release skins, but most of them are. They keep her design very consistent. When her face is shown, it's consistent to what we've seen on her concept art, but KDA and Tsushimi have a few flaws where they slightly alter her design. Sashimi is a little bit paler than Akali usually is. Also, her arms are out and her muscles are gone, and I've seen her in-game model and it doesn't have one. So that's two things they've just kind of removed from her character. Three if you wanna count her skin tone, but it's not like a super big deal. KDA, it's her facial structure mainly, and her body type is nerfed. Her abs aren't as defined as they've been shown to be in the past. Other than that, it's her facial structure. They got the skin tone right this time. And the clothing style is perfect. But her facial structure, it doesn't look like Akali. Akali has pretty sharp features from her eyes to her jaw to her chin, like all of it. It's just very sharp. And in KDA, it's pretty softened. It makes her look younger, which is what they were going for, but I don't really think it was necessary to do that. I think it kind of takes away from who Akali is. I think it kind of changes her in a way. It looks pretty different from like mid ones that aren't terribly off, but they're still like notably off. I'd put Crime City and Blood Moon on the same level. Blood Moon is only here because Akali's pale as hell in this skin, and her chest is pink for some reason. It looks pink to me. It could be some sort of covering, but I don't know what it would be. But that's the only reason that one's there. And then for Crime City, the only problem is her facial structure. For both of these, the clothing is a good choice. It's just all around a good display of Akali. So that's why they're both together. Project is only on here mostly because of the armor. Most of Akali is covered here, so it's kind of hard to critique anything about it character-wise. It's just the color palette really bothers me. That bright cyan with the white and red is just so off. I'm not a fan of it at all. And then at the very bottom of the middle tier would be Prestige Coven. It's just Akali, she's deathly pale here. It literally looks like she's a corpse. Her suit thing going on looks really cool. She's wearing heels in the skin, which doesn't make sense. That's something I kind of missed out on, is in a lot of these skins she's wearing heels, which, like, cringe. She shouldn't be wearing them. I sincerely doubt she'd ever wear them. It's just, Akali's someone who enjoys being mobile, and having heels would just be a pain in the ass for literally no reason. But yeah, for Prestige Coven, my main problem is the skin color, and also her facial structure is really off. I know it's a weird angle, but it barely looks like her. Just barely. But all things considered, it's okay. The thing that is probably the best part is probably like the clothing. The clothing looks sick. Finally, there's one last group. The bad skins. Ones that are so far from Akali that it might as well just be a new character. I'll start with Nurse Akali. That one's probably the least detrimental. Basically, they just put her in a skirt and noodle armed her. Like, cool. Okay. Why? There's no reason to do that. I guess buff nurses don't exist. Not cool, bro. It's not a big deal. KDA Akali. Because a lot of the promo material surrounding it is just not good. Akali's character has pretty much been butchered through KDA as time went on. It's become more of this sort of cute, youngest of the group, childish personality kind of thing. It's removed all her stoicness and, her stoicness and cocky badassery that she just exudes. And in this universe, Akali has still been raised in a dojo. She's not a murderer here, but she is still a pretty hardened person. And I think KDA kind of fails to convey any of that at all. The rest of KDA still has a lot of their character intact, despite being in completely different circumstances to their canon counterparts. They still feel very much like the original, despite being raised in a completely different environment. As far as the splash itself goes, Akali is so pale, and I know an argument could be made that this is really direct lighting, but even so, she's really, really pale. And her abs are nerfed. That's never a good sign. And I don't believe she has a tattoo in this universe, which sucks, because her tattoo is really badass. For the rest of their promo material, it's mostly just been getting her facial structure completely wrong, and there's been a lot of memes made about it because I think some of the angles they chose just make it look completely unnatural. My main problem with this skin line is probably Akali's voice changes. During the 2020 release of the KDA All Out album, they released short videos where each of the members of the group would talk about their song for a little bit. The rest of the band retained their normal voice actors, but Akali's voice actor was completely different. I'm not entirely sure why they made the change, but I don't think anyone liked it. Akali usually sounds like a grown woman, but this voice actress just made her sound so much younger, and none of it even sounded close to Akali. They used that for her promo video as well as a Genius interview that was several minutes long, and it just sounded off. It just doesn't sound like Akali in any way, shape, or form. And it's not me hating on the voice actress at all, it's just her voice does not suit Akali. And then there's Coven. Coven Akali, oh man. I was really excited for the skin until I actually saw the splash. Who is this character? The facial structure is gone, not even the faintest resemblance of Akali. The skin tone, again, really, really off. Other than that, the clothing style is a good choice. they implemented like a little bit of bagginess to her waist, so it's kind of correlates to her baggy pants. It's in her base skin. It's pretty good, but it just massacring Akali's face just kind of ruins everything else for me. It just doesn't feel like her. And now I'm going to talk about my least favorite Akali skin, which is probably gonna get me into some shit because I know a lot of people love the skin. Star Guardian Akali. I've been waiting for Star Guardian Akali to come out for quite a few years. I thought it was really good concept that could be worked with, you know, edgy teenager, basically what Akali is. Edgy teenager in a magical girl world or whatever the hell Star Guardian is. It would just be a little bit amusing to me. And when I first saw the first promo art, I was really hyped. It looked good. Her clothing, the boots looked good. The skirt wasn't too, like, constricting. It looked open in the front so she could move very well. Her skin tone was on point and her facial structure looked correct. Even though half of it was covered by a mask, it still just looked good despite the covering. Everything about it just felt very fitting to Akali, and I was really excited because in recent skin releases we haven't seen that in a while. But from there it went really, really downhill. It first started with her splash. The splash is kind of a mess. I think it's mostly because of the pose they chose. It's really weird. She's like upside down and kind of contorted. It's not a good splash. Pose wise, at least. It's not a good splash. Her body looks kind of stretched due to the angle. Her arms are noodle armed. That really sucks. The skin tone is once again off. Not super bad this time, but it's pretty off. The skin is just weird, I think. It's just, they made some very strange choices with it, and I don't agree with pretty much any of them. It looked much better in the promo art they released. I'm not really sure what happened from promo art to Star Guardian, but, well, here we are. The biggest problem, I think, with this skin is Akali's voice and personality. When the skin released, they once again changed her voice actor from the original to the same voice actor they used for her Genius interview and her KDA All Out video. And I want to make it very clear, I have no ill will towards this voice actress. It's Riot's fault, really, for deciding to randomly change her character voice. People love Akali's voice, her original voice. I don't see any reason to change it, but for some reason they haven't asked her voice actress back since her release. It doesn't make sense. It's not like her voice actor does not want to work with them. She's openly stated that she would always have time for Akali. And they've still worked with her. She did voice acting for Arcane, so I'm not really sure what the problem is there. It feels like they want to take Akali in a new direction. Her personality here, it's really, really childish, and Star Guardian does that to, like, all their characters, because they're all supposed to be high school age, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine, but they still retain a bit of their original personality despite acting younger and more immature. Akali just doesn't retain any of it. Her voice acting, her voice lines don't make sense, and don't even get me started on her dance, man. Don't even get me started on it. Oh, and dude, even furthermore, don't even get me started on the cinematic. Oh man. Like, who is she, bro? Who is this? Who is she, man? Like, oh no, what is she wearing? What is this gay scene? Yeah, anyway. Yeah, Akali's totally gay. For sure. And I genuinely mean that. But, like, yeah, that's so gay. Oh. So, one thing positive I do want to mention is Everything Goes On by Porter Robinson. It's beautiful. It's beautifully animated. Akali looks good. She's a little bit pale, but you know, not a big deal. Her face is correct. Her hair looks good. Facial structure, eyes, everything. It's fitting. I really wish they had committed to that design because it's awesome. Very well done. That video is perfection. Yes. Riot has a weird fetish for putting their female champions in heels a lot when it doesn't make sense. But, once again, it's Star Guardian, you know? It's not that big a deal. It's very fantasy. But still, it bothers me. So, what's my point with all of this? What's the point of going through all this? It just bothers me how inconsistent Riot can make a character, one that's been very well fleshed out. Akali has key defining features that should be present in every skin. Something as simple as her body type and skin color has never been consistent. I think if you go through every skin, I don't think you can find a consistent skin tone with her. Sometimes they get it close, but it's just never been anywhere near the original. And I cannot figure out why. You'd think they would maybe color palette things they were gonna repeatedly use, but I guess they don't. This is a problem with a lot of their champions. Part of me wonders if the reason they seem to be taking Akali in a whole new direction is due to the fandom. A lot of the fandom kind of got her personality messed up with the release of KDA. Everyone seemed to frame her in a much goofier light, and they kind of cut out a lot of her seriousness and turned her into this pretty childish, immature person. It just doesn't feel like Akali anymore. And Riot has seemed to pick this up and start pushing on Akali's character. And I think it's upsetting because Akali's a very well constructed character. I don't think there's a need to completely revamp her personality and completely change who she is. I just feel sad to see her being taken in this direction. But who knows? Maybe Riot will start listening to the rest of the fandom who doesn't want all those changes to Akali and complains every time she's shown inconsistently. They've already created this character and cemented it. It's just very strange that they seem to not want to bring what they created back. At the end of the day, all these flaws are really Riot's fault. They're probably not directing the people working on splashes and Akali's character for the thematic. There seems to be some sort of disconnect there. These people, it's like they've never even seen Akali. Riot ultimately makes these decisions and allows these skins and splashes and voice changes and stuff to be put out. I just can't figure out why. But maybe I'll never know. But I can still point it out when I see it happening. I guess my point here is that Riot doesn't seem to be able to connect their character design and the personality. It kind of gets muddied down as they get wrapped up in the thematic, I think. I think they kind of lose sight of the champion within it. But I think that's all I have to say on the matter. This is a character I deeply feel passionate about, and seeing her being changed into a shell of her former self is just very sad to see. I hope someone on the design team will one day fix all these flaws that not just Akali has, that a lot of League champs have. Because there's no reason for this inconsistency. This is a big professional company. You'd think they have people monitoring this kind of stuff and having people keep everything consistent, but they just don't for some reason. I'm not sure why. But it is what it is. I just wanted to talk about it and, get all my thoughts out there. That's it though. Thank you for watching, and be sure to smash that like button so you can hear me ramble nonsensically about other League champions. Have a good one.